In this video, we are going to work with downward dog. Okay, it's a resting pose. It's also an inversion. There is a lot going on in downward dog, and it's not always the most popular pose. But when you do it right, when you get used to doing it right, you can feel yourself soften into it, and it becomes enjoyable. It becomes a restful pose, which is what it is there for. So that's what we're going to work with. Hands. I've got an obsession with hands. People's hands in downward dog. I'll try and get a close up on the hands. They cup. We dump our weight into our wrists. So many people dump their weight into the wrists. We want to get pressure through the whole of the hand. We kind of internal rotation of the top of the hands, and external rotation of the upper arms and the shoulders. But main focus, get the fingertips, get the knuckles and the palm of the hand spread and pressing down. Let's build strength through the arms, goes up through the forearms, into the triceps, across the trapezius, into the back, rather than just stacking all the weight into that wrist socket. Okay, may not hurt to start off with, but over time you will potentially cause damage if you're not engaging. Again, this is where the functionality comes in. Okay, because you're building strength across joints. You're using the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons to work together to protect the joints. Yeah, so we're not collapsing into them. We're not collapsing onto joints, into the vertebrae, for example. We'll explore that in our upward dog, cobra as well. You know, so that's the purpose of this. You know, we're using the body to protect and strengthen. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into downward dog then. To start down, you may as well drop to your knees, hands to the top of the mat. Hand rotation will be variable to your shoulders, okay? Generally index finger or middle finger pointing forward. Really depends. Again, so use discernment into your shoulders. People have different shoulder mobility, different shoulder injuries. Some people are able to easily straighten their arms. Some people don't. Again, you don't really want to hyperextend. So if your elbows are pointing inwards, you might want a little bit of softness in the elbows. So I can only encourage you to use your discernment in some of these aspects of these poses. Okay. If, for example, this index finger or middle finger pointing forward, when you're in downward dog, it hurts your elbows or your shoulders, then play around with different hand positions to find something that suits you. Okay, I can't emphasize that enough. Index finger, middle finger pointing forward. Again, fingertips are going white here because I'm pressing my fingertips into the floor. I'm pressing my knuckles into the floor here, and the palm of the hand, but the weight's shifting mostly into these three knuckles. But you can still see my little finger, ring finger, still engaging, still pressing into the floor. Okay, tucking the toes, press back, lift the knees, soften back, chest towards the thighs here. Keep the knees nice and soft, keep the knees nice and bent. Relax the neck, shoulder blades round away from each other. Okay, so we've got internal rotation of the hands, external rotation of the shoulders. So the shoulder blades are rolling back. So that protects us. When we push the chest back towards the thighs, we're not collapsing and arching and bowing down here. We want that lift. So rounding the shoulders of blade lifts the upper back. Then shift the weight back. Aiming to get a relatively straight line from the wrist through the shoulders up towards the hips. Little shake of the bum. Relatively straight line. I've got a little bit of rounding in my back. It's just my physiology. Soft in the knees. Straight legs come after. Can straighten the legs. Get the heels towards the floor. It doesn't matter if the heels touch the floor. This will come after time. Some people go, I can get my heels down. It's nice and short downward dog. But you're not in downward dog. Explore. Feet roughly hip distance. Little engagement through those abdominal muscles as well. So again, we're lifting up through the core. Shoulders rounding away from each other. Chest towards the thighs. Heels pressing down towards the floor. Relax the neck. This is the rough shape we're looking for. If it's too much on the knees, bend the knees. Okay, deeper bend in the knees. Okay, dropping down. You're getting that stability through the hands. That's the key. That's the foundation again. Then that internal rotation through the hands, moving up through the arms, external rounding of the upper back. Chest pressing towards the back of the thumb mat. What we want to avoid is this. I see it all the time. People just light on their fingertips here. Knuckles aren't even anywhere near the floor. All the weight is dumped into their wrists, and they're pressing back. We're not after plank. People do really long things here. People do really short things here. It's not what we're after. We want to find that balance between the two. And again, how long you are down your mat is going to depend on how tall you are. Yeah. Nice inverted V. Find the balance, its stability. Up the back, down the back of the legs. Find that balance. There's only so much I can guide you here. If you're in class, we could work with it, but we're not, obviously, because you're there and I'm here. But, yeah. So spread the fingers nice and wide. I'll go through it again. Starting off onto your knees. Hands down on the floor. Index finger or middle finger pointing forward, but explore rotation through the hands if it causes pain in the shoulders or elbows. Fingertips pressing down, those knuckles pressing down, heel of the hand pressing down. Then tuck the toes, press back. Feet roughly hip distance. Soften the neck, shoulder blades round away from each other. Engage the core, heels towards the floor. Straightening the legs to whatever's available to you today. Soften the neck. And be mindful when you transition, when you come from downward dog and you roll forward into plank, keep those hands pressing down. Look how white my fingertips are, even the knuckles. Yeah, keep those hands in contact with the floor fully. Even when you transition, moving forward to your plank, engage the core. Good. Come into plank next. Keep those hands planted. Well done. Again, play around with it. See how it feels. It's all I can encourage you to do. See how it feels for you. Get that in core engagement. Get the shoulders rounding away. Check in with your hands. You can play with your hands in tabletop. When you drop your hands, how do you naturally go? Do you instantly go like this? Are your fingers together? Are you regimented with the knuckles peeling off? Explore. How do you naturally rest when you come down? When you put your hands down, how do they feel? Get into the habit of getting into that position. Get into the habit, even if you're in tabletop. Press the hands down into the floor. Get that engagement. Get used to that. Get that muscle memory in place. And then build from there. It's all about programming. We're just rewriting the neurons, rewriting neural pathways through the brain. Get that muscle memory in the body. So that when we do it, these drills, the repetition, when we do it in a flow, it's instantaneous. We don't think about it. It's like driving a car. When you start to learn to drive a car, you're looking at the gear stick, you're looking at the clutch, you're looking everywhere but the road, and then you go, oh, and then before you know it, you're driving journeys and you don't even know how you did it. It's a completely automatic process. It's the same with this. Once you get it right, it's child's play. Well done.